So what happened? Now, so you have these suggestions by Lactar, right? But there would be newspaper debates in 1889. For example, the new bilingual newspaper La España Oriental, meaning Eastern Spain, in 1899, um, used the orthography recently introduced, they said, it used the orthography recently introduced by learned Orientalists, believing that it better composes and represents the words of the Tagalog language. So if you look at this newspaper started using the letter K, okay, instead of Q or C. However, the Catholic Review ran a series of articles attacking the orthography, and so Eastern Spain defended itself. So, this is what Pascual Pobleta said. I am not a philologist, but I am a Tagalog, by which I mean to say that with respect to my native language, I can say that I know Tagalog better. So what he's trying to say, Poblete, is trying to say that, well, we want to use the letter K, and I know Tagalog, so I know that it really, the sound of the letter K is important, and is native to Tagalog. Okay. Now, here are the arguments of Poblete and Pablo Tecson. The new orthography was imprecise and impractical. To tamper with the spelling of the language was to tamper with the language itself. So this was unpatriotic because Tagalog was a Spanish language. So if you look at that argument seems really strange, but I'm just quoting it, and this is what Poblete and Pablo Tecson was saying. So Poblete was saying, this language. I know the letter K. So, this is wrong, okay? So saying that this was unpatriotic because Tagalog was a Spanish language. Of course, today we know that Tagalog is not a Spanish language. But that's what they said. And finally, they also said that the letter K was German, right? Of course, at this point in time, that argument that the letter K is German seems a little bit ridiculous. But that's what they said in the 19th century. Okay, so this is a photograph of Jose Rizal in 1990. Okay, this is a photograph of Rizal when he was a young boy. And this is another photograph of Rizal with two other ilustrados who formed the La Solidaridad. This is a photograph of the La Solidaridad and Rizal being shot. Okay, so all I'm trying to say is, so Rizal is basically known as the national hero of the Philippines. He wrote these two novels, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, and because he was suspected by the Spaniards of aiding or inspiring the revolution, he was executed. Okay, but what we want to focus today about Rizal is Rizal's article. So Rizal acknowledges the publication of Pardo de Tavera's El Sanscrito en la Lengua Tagala and remarks that Tavera's work employed an orthography more perfect than I imagined through placing it. That is, the formed spelling of the word in parentheses in the transcription of the words. So this was Jose Rizal, and as translated by Manuel. And when I say Manuel, I'm referring to Arsenio Manuel. So, Rizal then praises the 3 vowels and 14 consonants of the ancient Tagalog alphabet, saying that these characters have continuously been able to express the words of the language. So, what we're trying to say here is that Rizal was trying to lift up, or Rizal was trying to give emphasis to the adequacy of the letters of the Baybayin or the indigenous letters of the Tagalog alphabet. Okay, so this was Rizal on Pinpin. Although he did not specifically mention Pinpin's observation or quote Pinpin to dispute the latter's criticism of the Baybayin, Rizal explained in detail that the Tagalogs did not use I and E and O and U indifferently. Okay, so use of I, for example, is imposed in the middle or the end of the words, rejecting E. Thus, Tagalogs never say selid instead of Silid. So this is a little bit different from Pinpin, a little bit different from what Omario is saying too. But according to Rizal, there are clues, such as you kind of like know when to use I and E and when to use O and U.